All right, thank you. Welcome back to the series where I'm actually just going through the Bible. It's called a devotion time, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And welcome to the C Files. Um, we're working our way through several books. What I do is I try to get a full diet in a day's reading of devotion. So I'll take one chapter out of a historical book, one out of a poetical book, one out of a an apocalyptic book, a prophetic book, one out of the Gospels or the book of Acts, and one out of the epistles or the book of Revelation. And that's what we're going to do. I'm working on Job. I'm working on Ezekiel. Um, I do a proverb each time and a psalm. I'm in Psalms right now. And in the New Testament, it's we're starting Matthew today. And so because we just finished the book of Acts, we'll reverse back to Matthew. And then what was the other one? For us, First Corinthians. So so let's go on into Job. Now, I'll give a little explanation each time. As you recall, Job is a historical book. Actually, when we finish Job, we're going to shoot back to Genesis and start at Genesis again. Um, so we're almost done with Job. Well, we're halfway through. Probably, yeah, a little more than halfway through Job. Anyway, Job is a man who went through a lot of suffering. If for anyone who's going through, by the way, welcome to those of you who are new to this series as well. I appreciate you being here. Job, um, like I said, went through a lot of suffering. It's a really a good book to read for someone who has dealt with suffering, is going through suffering, and needs something to help them through that suffering. The Psalms are also really good for that as well. So he's having a debate with his friends. He's hit like the lowest point in his life. He's got a disease, physical ailment. He's lost everything, including his kids were killed, and he's lost all of his wealth. Everything he owned is gone. So he's really at the lowest of the lowest point of his life. And there's a debate going back and forth between Job and his friends about, Job, what did you do? What sin did you commit that God did this to you? And Job going back and saying, I didn't do anything wrong. Of course, in the beginning of the book, it declares that Job didn't do anything wrong. This was for testing of Job. It's for our benefit to read it. God had his purposes in it, but it had nothing to do with Job sinning. Well, at least he did sacrifices to God to cover whatever sins might have occurred. Uh, and if you don't understand sacrifices, basically it's a covering, a substitute of of uh, of the sins. The old covenant sacrifice represented the sacrifice of Christ on the cross, who was the final sacrifice, who bore our sins on the cross, and that's what that's about. Job 26, no, I'm sorry, Job 25, it's a short one. Um, Bildad is going to argue, Job had just made his argument. Bildad's going to argue, how can man be righteous? Great question. We'll begin in verse 1. Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said, dominion and fear belong to him. He makes peace in his high places. Is there any number to his armies? Upon which, upon whom does his light not rise? How then can man be righteous before God? Or how can he be pure who is born of a woman? If even the moon does not shine and the stars are not pure in his sight, how much less man who is a maggot and a son of man who is a worm? That's the entire chapter. And guys, folks, I mean, there's nothing incorrect in what Bill Dad just said. How, and the whole thing is, if God is pure, and even the creation is not pure before God, the moon, the stars, and so forth, how can a man be righteous before God when man is sinful, had fallen into sin from Adam? Absolutely correct. Great question. Job is going to respond in 26, and it's titled Job, Man's Frailty and God's Majesty. I think Job would agree with him. No, man cannot be righteous before God. They've been trying to say, Job, you did something. You did something to cause this. Oh, sorry. Something tried to pop on. There it goes. Music was popping. What is going on here? Hold on. I need to stop that. I don't know where that's happening. Okay, right here. Sorry, guys. There, got rid of it. Okay. Don't want any copyright issues. All right. So anyway, that was Job 25. We'll get Job's response in the next reading. Let's go to not Psalm. I'm going to go to Proverbs. Why did it skip Proverbs? Let me go here. Yeah, Psalms. It's Psalms then Proverbs. Okay. Okay, so we're going to be in Psalm, looks like Psalm 140. Now, the Psalms are songs, they're song lyrics that were sung by the Israelites. And Psalm 140 is a prayer for deliverance from evil men. It's to the chief musician, a psalm of David, the King David, the same David that slew Goliath, if you're not familiar with him. Okay, that's uneven. Let me move this. There we go. All right. I have it on a stand so I don't have to like do this with my neck, which bothers my neck when I'm reading. Deliver me, O Lord, from evil men. How many of you have ever said that one? That's a sentiment common to humanity, isn't it? Deliver me, O Lord, from evil men. Preserve me from violent men who plan evil things in their hearts. They continually gather together for war. They sharpen their tongues like a serpent. The poison of asp is under their lips. Selah. And that poison of asp is under their lips is quoted in Romans chapter 3, actually. Keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from violent men who have purposed to make my steps stumble. The proud have hidden a snare for me in cords. They have spread a net by the wayside. They have set traps for me. Selah. I said to the Lord, You are my God. Hear the voice of my supplications, O Lord. O God, the Lord, the strength of my salvation. You have covered my head in the day of battle. Do not grant, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. Do not further his wicked scheme, lest they be exalted. Selah. David fought a lot of battles. Remember, he was being pursued by Solomon. The Gentiles were constantly fighting with David. He had a lot of battles as he was trying, as he had already been anointed king of Israel by Solomon, by Samuel, the prophet. Um, but David was very respectful of Saul, who was the current king, but had been deposed by God as being king of Israel. But David was going to be very respectful toward Saul in that time that he was still on the throne. but even though Saul was pursuing David, trying to kill him. And so um, God would protect David in that pursuit of his life, and he would prevail in the day of battle. As for the head of those who surround me, let the evil of their lips cover them. Let burning coals fall upon them. Let them be cast into the fire, into deep pits that they rise up. I'm sorry, into deep pits that they rise not up again. So the evil of their lips um, be cast into the fiery pits, basically. Um, Let not a slanderer be established in the earth. Let evil hunt the violent man to overthrow him. I know that the Lord will maintain the cause of the afflicted and justice for the poor. Surely the righteous shall give thanks to your name. The upright shall dwell in your presence. All right. Now, just to, I know this can be confusing when you're reading Psalms by themselves. You have to take Scripture as one package and understand that the Bible does not teach self-righteousness. It doesn't teach works righteousness. It teaches that God is the source of all salvation and that man is not righteous, but guilty before God and has a need for a Savior to save him from his sins. Go to Proverbs. We're going to be in Proverbs 18. This is a book of wisdom, and there's just sayings of wisdom all the way through these chapters in Proverbs. So let's find out what 18 has for us. A man who isolates himself seeks his own desire. He rages against all wise judgment. A fool has no delight in understanding, but in expressing his own heart. Um, when the wicked comes, contempt comes also, and with dishonor comes reproach. The words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The wellspring of wisdom is a flowing brook. It is not good to show partiality to the wicked or to throw the righteous in judgment. Yeah. You don't This is one of the verses that has been used to establish the judicial system in the United States. The idea of impartiality when someone who's accused of a crime coming before the judge can't favor one um, person accused of a crime over another person accused of crime. He has to stay impartial. And of course, no person is impartial. I mean, we're human beings. We're incapable of being impartial. So how does the judge stay impartial? Well, he has to follow the law and he has to follow the guidelines set down before him as far as the court guidelines that guide him on, okay, this is how you are to handle these cases, and you can't deviate from that. So he might have a very strong opinion about this individual, but the guidelines force him, the judge, if he's an honest judge, if he's a good judge, to do things the right way. Now, there have been judges that have sit on benches that have not done the right thing, and some of them have been disbarred because they did not follow the right procedures. But I'll read this verse again. This is the, a foundation, a basis that the founders of the United States used to come up with that system. It is not good to show partiality to the wicked or to overthrow the righteous in judgment. And the right overthrowing the righteous in judgment, that's where innocent till proven guilty comes from. You don't want an innocent man being convicted and going to prison. Although that has happened, there have been a number of cases with that's been proven to happen, which shows that human beings are not perfect in their judgment, and sometimes jurors make the wrong decisions. Um, so human justice is never perfect, but God's justice is. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. All right, what am I? Okay, I see. Something was messing with my book stand there. He who is slothful in his work is a brother to him who is a great destroyer. Of course, slothful is just another way of saying someone who's lazy. Lazy, lazy. There was a song pops in my head when I think of this, uh, called Lazy. Deep Purple, a rock band, actually sang that song. And the lyrics of that song are actually pretty good, talking about a guy who's really lazy. He who is slothful in his work is a brother to him who is a great destroyer. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. And of course, what's his name? It's Yahweh, right? And what does Yahweh mean? It means I am, self-existence. Yahweh talks about a self-existent God. Um, so anyway, there's a lot more to that name. I gotta have a book back here that can really go into in depth as to his name, but we won't do that right now. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. And like a high wall in his own esteem. And got to realize this is talking about temporal life here on this earth. Who's the most secure from financial problems? Who's the most secure from being able to hire people to protect them and have a nice home to dwell in? It's the rich people, of course. And it's just acknowledging that it's an observation of that. Before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty, and before honor is humility. Now, this one's talking about pride is a very, human pride, arrogance, sinful pride, if you will, is a very powerful, destructive force in the life of an individual. It will destroy you. And that's what this proverb is saying. He who answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame to him. I've been guilty of that one, not researching something out as well as I should have, or misunderstanding something and then speaking, and it comes back as folly on me. I'm sure many people have fallen into that one, and you just try to learn from that and then try to do better in the future. He who answers a matter before he hears it is folly and shame to him. The spirit of a man will sustain him in sickness, but who can bear a broken spirit? So yeah, even a man, if we've seen this actually. I've seen YouTube videos of people who are dealing with cancer and things of that nature. I myself, have dealt with heart disease and had a surgery done. And I have an issue with my heart that I'll never be able to fix it. It'll be with me till the day I am called home out of this world. But the spirit inside, like these folks that I've seen dealing with cancer, they have a spirit that they handle it really well. They work through it really well because they have a strong spirit within them. But when your spirit is crushed, and there are a lot of things that can crush the spirit of a person, um, you're it's hard. It's really hard. when your spirit is broken to handle almost anything. All right. A wicked man accepts a bribe behind the back to prevent the ways of justice. That says behind the back. What came into my mind just now was the slipping of the envelope underneath the table, right? Taking a bribe. It perverts justice. Wisdom is in the sight of him who has understanding, but the eyes of a fool are on the ends of the earth. It's interesting when you're young, you think you can change the world. You're going to conquer the world. When you get old, you feel like you haven't changed very much, and the world has conquered you. Different perspectives or different sections or different stages in life. Um, that doesn't mean that people don't have effect in the world, that uh, they don't conquer things in the world. They do, but there are perceptions and perspectives as you go through life that you start changing the way you think about things. Um, all right. But the people who actually have a big effect on the world, they're very, very small percentage of people that do that. Let me see, where was I? Yeah, 25. A foolish son is a grief to his father and bitterness to her who bore him. Yeah, sure is. Also, to punish the righteous is not good, nor to strike princesses for their uprightness. Yeah, to send an innocent person to prison is not good as well. He who has knowledge spares his words, and a man of understanding is of a calm spirit. Having a calm spirit is really a big blessing from God. It really is. Being able to go calmly through difficult circumstances in life that's a great gift. Even a fool is counted wise when he holds his peace. When he shuts his lips, he is considered perceptive. All right, we go to Ezekiel. I have some time. Uh, what happened to Ezekiel? Where am I? Here we are. I had to get to the right spot. Ezekiel 27. Did I not read this? I did. It's going to be Ezekiel 28. And we were on Tyre. Remember, Tyre it's an island off of the coast of Greece, a major port where goods and services were spread all across the known world at that time. It was very favored by the merchants and the sailors who went and got the merchandise and brought it in. It was a source of great riches for a lot of people, and it comes under the judgment of God. And 27 was a lamentation by Ezekiel for Tyre in that judgment. Uh, 26 was proclamation against Tyre. Actually, we're doing 27, this lamentation. He's going to have some description of Tyre in here as well. And I better get reading because it is 36 verses. So please listen carefully and get what you can out of this. I've got 6 minutes to do it. The word of the Lord came again to me, saying, Now, son of man, take up a lamentation for Tyre, and say to Tyre, or Tyre is another way of saying it, you who are situated at the entrance of the sea, merchant of the peoples on many coastlands, thus says the Lord God, O Tyre, I'm going to say Tyre, O Tyre, you have said, I am perfect in beauty. Your borders are in the midst of the seas. Your builders have perfected your beauty. Remember, it's an island off the coast of Greece. They made all your planks of fir trees from Sinir. They took a cedar from Lebanon to make you a mast on a ship. Of oaks from Bashan, they made your oars. Of course, that's rowing a ship. The company of Ashurites have inlaid your planks with ivory from the coast of Cyprus. Fine embroidered linen from Egypt was what you spread for your sail. He's comparing Tyre to a ship. He's describing the parts of a ship. I'm former Navy, so I understand ship nomenclature and how ships work, but these are ancient ships, which are a little bit different than the ships I was on. So anyway, we're here. Let me go back to 6. Of oaks from Bashan, they made your oars. The company of Ashurites have inlaid your planks. A plank, of course, is the wooden parts of the decks of the ship and all of that. With ivory from the coast of Cyprus. Of course, they had some things ivory on the ship. Like they'd have those fancy fronts on the ship that would sometimes be ivory. Those fancy designs, you know. Fine embroidered linen from Egypt was what you spread for your sail, right? The sails of the ship. Blue and purple from the coast of Elisha was what covered you. So you see, Tyre not only was able to ship things out, but they took a lot of imports too. And these are the imports that are being talked about, which beautified the island. Inhabitants of Sidon and Arvad were your oarsmen. Your wise men, O Tyre, were in you. They became your pilots. Elders of Gebal and its wise men were in you to caulk your seams. All the ships of the sea and their oarsmen were in you to market your merchandise. So you're catching the metaphor now of what he's doing there. Those from Persia, Lydia, and Libya. And of course, Persia is modern day Iran, right? Were in your army as men of war. So this was an international multicultural army. I mean, they were a formidable force, this little island. They hung shield and helmet in you. They gave splendor to you. Now, why would they have so many different types of people? Because they were rich and they could afford to pay all of these mercenaries, these highly trained mercenaries to come in and protect the island. Um, those from Persia, Lydia, and Libya were in your army as men of war. They hung shield and helmet in you. They gave splendor to you. Men of Arvad with your army were on your walls all around the wall that surrounded the island. And the men of Gamad were in your towers. They hung their shields on your walls all around. They made your beauty perfect. Tarshish was your merchant because of your many luxury goods. They gave you silver, iron, tin, and lead for your goods. Javan, Tubal, and Mishesh were your traders. They bartered human lives. Ooh, there's some. Now, what is that? That's a slave trade they're talking about. They had a slave trade going on that the Bible just mentioned. They bartered human lives and vessels of bronze for your merchandise. Those from the house of Togarmah traded for your wares with horses, steeds, and mules. The men of Dedan were your traders. Many islands or many isles were the market of your hand. They brought you ivory tusk and ebony as payment. Syria was your merchant because of the abundance of goods you made. They gave you for your wares emeralds, purple, embroidery, fine linen, corals, and rubies. I'm going to end up going over 30 minutes, but not by too much. Judah and the land of Israel were your traders. They traded for your merchandise, wheat of Minnith, millet, honey, oil, and balm. Damascus was your merchant because of the abundance of goods you made, because of your many luxury items, with the wine of Helbon and with white wool. Dan and Javan paid for your wares, traversing back and forth. Wrought iron, cassia, and cane were among your merchandise. Dedan was your merchant in saddlecloths for riding. Arabia and all the princesses of Kedar were your regular merchants. They traded with you in lambs, rams, and goats. The merchants of Sheba. Remember, the queen of Sheba went to see Solomon at one point. The merchants of Sheba and Ramah were your merchants. They traded for your wares and the choicest spices, all kinds of precious stones and gold. Haran, Canaan, Eden, and the merchants of Sheba, Assyria, which also is Babylon, uh, and Shilmad were your merchants. These were your merchants in choice items, in purple clothes, in embroidered garments, in chests of multicolored apparel, in sturdy woven cords, which were in your marketplace. I mean, I don't know if there's a marketplace in the world today that will rival this. Maybe there is, I don't know, but this is quite impressive for the ancient world. The ships of Tarshish were carriers of your merchandise. You were filled with you were filled and very glorious in the midst of the seas. Your oarmen brought you into many waters, but the east wind broke you in the midst of the seas. Your riches, wares, and merchandise, your mariners and pilots, your caulkers and merchandisers, all your men of war who are in you, and the entire company which is in your midst will fall into the midst of the seas on the day of your ruin. The common land will shake at the sound of the cry of your pilots. All who handle the oar, the mariners, all the pilots of the sea, will come down from their ships and stand on the shore. They will make their voice heard because of you. They will cry bitterly and cast dust on their heads. They will roll about in ashes. They will shave themselves completely bald because of you. Gird themselves with sackcloth and weep for you with bitterness of heart and bitter wailing. This is talking about when the judgment comes, people will be distraught over this judgment on Tyre. In their wailing for you, they will take up a lamentation, a lament for you. What city is like Tyre, destroyed in the midst of the sea? When your wares went out by sea, you satisfied many people. You enriched the kings of the earth with your many luxury goods and your merchandise. But you are broken by the seas in the depths of the waters. Your merchandise and your entire company will fall in your midst. All the inhabitants of the isles will be astonished at you. Their kings will be greatly afraid, and their countenance will be troubled. The merchants among the peoples will hiss at you. You will become a horror and be no more forever. So Tyre was really a great importer and exporter. All that description of the ships, they made ships that were eloquent and just incredible for their time, and they were able to ship goods all over the place. So Tyre was very, very rich and comfortable, if you will. Uh, there was something else I wanted to mention about this. Oh, the judgment was that occurred when Babylon came down. Nebuchadnezzar, God had Nebuchadnezzar judge the nations. 721 BC, Israel fell because the kingdom split. The 12 tribes of Israel split, 10 nations in Israel. And if I remember right, Samaria was the capital of Israel at the time. And Judah, two tribes in Judah, Jerusalem was the capital there. At that time period after Solomon, and they split because of Solomon's indiscretion with 1,000 wives. There was a consequence to that, and all of that had to do with these treaties and things that Solomon would make with other nations because Israel was so powerful at that time. Every time you'd make a treaty, you'd have to take a wife from that nation. Is just how they did it in the ancient world. Um, and so Solomon fell away from the Lord because of that, because the wives got him worshiping their gods from the foreign nations. And then God said, well, I'm going to split Israel because of that, and Israel split. It's during that split, the time of the kings, there was the judges and then the kings. Solomon was the third king of Israel, and then there was a whole bunch of kings that came after him. And God started pronouncing judgment on Israel at that point. And 721 BC, Israel was taken down. 586 BC, Judah was taken down by Babylon. I'm not sure the time frame of Tyre when it was, or I keep saying Tyre, Tyre is the correct pronunciation, when Tyre was taken down. But this is part of the prophecy of it. In 28, there's going to be more on Tyre, proclamation against the king of Tyre. So there was a lot that God had to say about Tyre. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on C Files. I am 8 minutes over time. When I come back, we will be in the New Testament. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and God bless.